vintage Mclane 20-inch reel mower and edger. These came out of an estate that had sat idle for 14 years. If you missed the previous video, I believe it was called Chlordane Dust. And these were in the gentleman's shed. I believe they're 1970s vintage. I am by no means a small engine buff, vintage lawn equipment buff. We're going to get them running today. I would also mention that this channel focuses on mostly vintage televisions and radios. So if you come into this video, do not subscribe to this channel expecting to see more vintage small engine driven lawn equipment. The one thing I didn't see and that I wish I had taken more time to look for is the bucket that goes on the front of this. Now, Mclane is local here in California, and looking at their website, they've been in business since 1946, and all the parts are still available from them. And you can will call them and drive right down there and get just about all the parts. So, made in USA since 1946, right here locally. So this is a 7-blade reel mower, and this is an edger. They look dirty, but very well cared for, and definitely not used in a commercial fashion to where they'd be trashed or worn out, hopefully. There's a lot of steel here. And this is going to kind of be a learning curve for me as I go through and get these to work. I'm not that familiar with them. Of course, everything I use here is a rotary mower. So this looks like this engages the belt. And this here looks like this engages the drive. Looks like the governor spring popped off of this one. There's not much to these. Oh, something missing there, isn't there? Like a air cleaner element. Not much to these. This is the choke. This is the mixture control screw. Varnishy. Wow. Almost smells like Coca-Cola. That's kind of old. So this engine uses an air vane governor. There's an air vane in here and it's blowing air, and as the airflow drops, the spring relaxes and causes the throttle to open more, basically as a closed loop feedback kind of air thing to maintain the speed. So this spring needs to be connected. I don't see where it connects. I guess we could... Well, there's something else missing here because the throttle is not connected to anything. So this is interesting. Why is the thing for the pull start assembly for the mower on the edger? Here's a spring on the edger. You can see what it does there. The spring pulls on the vane, and then which is seized. There we go. man, this has all been sitting idle for so long. It's all gummed up. The whole thing is just... Well, at least this has a filter in it. But yeah, this is the 20-inch all-steel front throw powered mower. Roller level your lawn. That should be on this. Wonder if maybe the string broke and he just ended up switching it around. So I believe this is together backwards. This loop is supposed to be on the inside, and this bar right here is supposed to be rotated. This loop is on the inside, and then the spring connects to here. As you can see on this one, how this one's set up, the loop is inside the can here. And you know, I should probably pull the gas tank off and clean all that old gas out of there. What really works good to clean old gas up is citric acid or lemon juice. It dissolves that varnishy stuff so well. Let's see if this is frozen. Let's see. Huh. Oh yeah, that'll loosen up nicely once it starts spinning. Boy, at first spin up, that's going to be epic, the amount of dust and crap that sprays out of that. Let's see what we got here. Oh boy, she's full. That's an understatement, geez. Kind of black too. I dare say that needs to be changed, but we don't need to change that to start it up. Probably start it up and let it run and get hot and then drain it out and fill it up with new oil. Some old stock new oil that's got the right amount of zinc in it. So the next thing I'm going to do is see if it'll fire. And because this does use points, and the points are in here behind the flywheel. So before I pull this off and screw with the throttle linkage, I'm going to, or touch the gas, I'm going to just see if it will fire. I'm going to pour a little gas in here. Maybe this is 80s. So they call this the Rolls-Royce of lawnmowers, and I believe it. Here we go. That's nice. Ooh. There we go. What would be really cool is if it would run on that old gas that's in there. I wouldn't be surprised. These things will run on anything. So, let's play with that a little bit more. See if we could get a fire going here. Nope. Won't run on the old gas. I bet you the pickup tube is plugged. Well, I loosened these screws up, and that gas tank is just on there. And I would prefer not to break that gasket, because getting parts for these is pretty challenging, and I might have to make the gasket, and I would rather not make the gasket. So I'm gonna just breathe heavy here and pretend that it's all good, right? What could be wrong with gas? It's 20 years old. So long as that pickup screen isn't plugged or the little check valve there is not. Come on, baby, suck it up out of the tank. I'm going to take the jet out. What I did is I unscrewed the mixture jet a bunch of turns. Get a fire going here. Got it too rich now. Okay, I took the jet out and I back sprayed some of this, whatever you want to call this, in there, and the jet is clear. The mixture screw is clear going into the car, but I didn't see anything. But there's usually a check ball in the pickup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and keep it running for a minute, and we'll see what happens. Nah, it ain't gonna pick it up out of the jet. I see gas vapor there. Don't want to show me no love. Yeah, the gas tank's gonna have to come off. So I got the gas tank loose, but there's not enough clearance. There's a bracket on the bottom, right there. So I'm gonna have to take this carby clinker off here and get my Greta on. Wonder if that's why they put these kind of bolts on here so you could do this. Oh boy, look at this. Talk about spooge. That is clog-o-matic. It looks like the gasket survived though, which is a good thing. Wow, that's horrible. Crankcase oil instructions. Use oil labeled for service MS. We should be able to date this motor by that. The API service designation. 5W20. Really? Oh, summer use, 30 weight. So speaking of getting our Greta on, would this be considered bad to dump this in the city trash? Maybe this will start a trash truck fire, and then the trash truck will pull over and dump the burning load in a high wind area and burn an entire trailer park down. What do you think? Am I onto something here? Just let that evaporate for a couple days. Wow, that looks horrible down in there. Like replacement level horrible. Yeah, what do you even do with this? I mean, this is just clogged. I mean, it is plugged solid. Okay, well, here's the deal with this. This came from the estate of an old man who died. Oh, there we go. There's gasoline coming out of there. So there was gasoline in there. I think. Yeah. No, that smells like maybe carburetor cleaner that came down from the top. So this thing's been sitting since at least 2005. So it's quite crusty and filled with nasty gas. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do about this tank. It's like all rusted and filled with varnish. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm looking at this, and this looks like some kind of two-stage deal. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not a small engine buff, but it looks like this pickup is for when it's almost completely full, and this pickup is for when the fuel level drops below this one. So what I'm thinking about doing is just putting this back together and filling it all the way to the very top with fuel. Because this one's open, I can blow through this one, and I hear it going through the jet and into the air horn here. Is that what you call that? So what I'm thinking about doing, and what I'm going to need to do with this is soak it. Maybe lacquer thinner. Citric acid I know works real well, but for this video I'd like to just get this thing to run and see how the mechanical side of the engine works. So if I can get it to run with an absolutely full tank of gas, sucking it through this little short pickup, because if you think about it, the mixture would be inconsistent with this because this doesn't use a float bowl. So as the fuel level dropped in the tank, the thing would just get leaner by default because it would be pulling less gas. So that's why they have this two-stage system to kind of make it so it's not pig rich and then super lean as it runs low on fuel. You know what? We are really rolling out on the environmental tip today. The governor is going to have to appoint a task force to figure out where all the raw hydrocarbons are coming from. Look at that, completely caked. You know what? Let's try this. I got a lemon tree here. No one said it would be easy, right? I'm going to let that sit in there for a while I take the trash out. Okay, well this is interesting. This chamber does not connect to the main fuel tank. So that must be some type of pressure equalization deal. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure on how this stuff works. I can see through right here it connects. So is that some type of air bleed? Is that how this system works? It's an air bleed type deal instead of the jet doesn't regulate, or I'm sorry, not the jet, well, whatever, that screw, that mixture screw is an air bleed screw, not an actual fuel screw. I really don't want to take this off because I don't want to risk ruining that gasket, or maybe there's a diaphragm in there. I'm not really sure what that's for. Is it some type of valve that won't let the gas flow unless there's vacuum being pulled on here. I don't know. But I can't blow through this, and if I try and suck on here, I don't get any flow. So I'm not sure. Okay, well, I took and I closed this and I put a shop vac on here, and I'm getting vacuum here but nothing here, so I'm opening this. And crap. Look at the crust. Jeez. So I wonder how this thing works. There's a spring. I'm sure this I think this needs to be replaced. Where am I going to get this at? Okay, I think I'm starting to figure it out. This actually works as a little float. The carburetor pulls, I don't know. It looks like it pulls the gas through here into this chamber that this thing is in. So this thing works as a little pump that runs off the pulses of the engine to keep that little container, that little bowl right here full. That's how it works. This is like a pump that pumps gas up from the bottom and then keeps this full all the time, and it overflows off that little thing. That way the fuel mixture is always correct as this drops. Told you I'd figure it out. But yeah, I don't know if this diaphragm is any good. But again, that shouldn't matter if we just overfill the hell out of it to where that thing is overflowing on the top. Okay, so that's how that works. It pumps up the long pickup here, and it dumps into here, and then it picks up from this little secondary chamber into the carburetor, and once this is full, it starts to overflow right there. So it always has a consistent level of gas. It's not dependent on the level of gas in the actual tank. Well, I got to give the lemon juice credit if it will focus on that. Look at that. It looks like brand new. Well, it ate it down to the raw metal. And I can actually blow through this now. And the sucking is limited, so that little check valve thing is not working well. All right. While we're in here making a total mess, we might as well clean the little air choochies out. And be nice to just take a compressor to this thing, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'd like to just get it to run. And we'll turn the this is a magneto and the magnets right here that produces a spark, and then there's points underneath this flywheel. But we'll turn this around. See, here's the air vane. Turn this around, hopefully. Alright, I believe I got this installed right. I kind of bent it to where I think it should be, but I got the PCV back on. Not that it's positive, but it is crankcase ventilation recirculating back into the intake versus blowing off the blow-by into the atmosphere. I filled that little secondary bowl thing up in there with gas before I put it back together. We'll put this in. We'll go out. One and a half or something, 1 3/4 to start. I don't expect this pumping thing to work until I get that diaphragm. I do have a local guy that's got a lot of this old Briggs and Stratton stuff. Hopefully he's got it. If not, I'm not quite sure where you would get that. Maybe online, but I don't think they're making those new anymore. You'd have to find a new old stock one and hope it wasn't all brittle and rotten. So let's put it together and try and fire it up. If nothing else, what I could do is just, if it's not available, just come up with something else and just drill a hole in that little secondary thing and just never let the gas get below, you know, 3/4. Look at the sheer heavy dutiness of this mower. Chains everywhere, thick 1/4-inch steel. I mean, this thing is built. Just think, if I hadn't saved it, it would have gone to the metal man. It would have gone to the recycle man. Okay. I got that little secondary thing filled. I do expect it to start. Speaking of that, I didn't notice this. He had definitely replaced this rope before. So I put about 1/4 in the main tank. I doubt that pump is going to work with that bad diaphragm, but here we go. Let's see. Choke. Little bit of a oil burner here. Geez, no wonder he retired it. Talk about environmentalism. Maybe that's this oil in the muffler from it being tipped over. Or maybe it's because it's overfilled with oil. Geez, that's hideous. Wow. What an environmental mess this has become. God, did this guy ever change the oil in this thing? No wonder why it's smoking, although it stopped. I hope that's oil that leaked out of right here and that it's not leaking somewhere else. I don't see any other leaks. I'm gonna oil these chains a little bit. I'm gonna Yeah, I'm gonna go through and oil these chains up a little bit, and then I'm gonna get the high frame rate camera and we're gonna fire this thing off and see what happens. I'm going to put this filter on it from the edger for now. By the way, that pump thing is working, because when I shut it off I could hear the gas dribbling from the top back down. So I guess the pulses from the engine are strong enough that that diaphragm is still pulsing enough to make that pump work. Okay, here we go. We're gonna film this at high frame rate, like 120, and we're gonna engage this and see what happens. So here we go. Holy crap! Wait. I'll make short work out of this. Okay, well, success, kind of. This thing is actually made to cut really, maintain a really short yard. And that's not quite what I got here. This needs to be tightened up. This is like scissors. There should be, a shearing action to it. And there's also a bad bearing. And I'm not quite sure. I believe these are like sealed ball bearings, and I'm not quite sure which one it is. But one of these, that chain also has an awful lot of slip in it. Like way too much slack in that chain. Something slack down here. It's almost like this pulley is loose on this shaft. To get an Allen key and tighten that up. Maybe that's what the noise is. Okay, let's see if we can resurrect this. And again, I'm not gonna fine tune it, or just resurrecting it. If I can figure out how to Klinko snorculate. Okay, let's see what kind of an environmental mess we can make with this one. Now that's more like it. Now this one might be a little bit easier. It doesn't have the deep tank on it, therefore it doesn't have that pump on the side. So this is just a straight suck it out of the can up into the jet fuel mixture screw. So we'll do the same basic steps on this one as we did the other one. We'll start by pouring a little gas in here and see if it's got spark and fires, and then we'll go from there. So on this one we'll do a little carbon choke cleaner. Oh yeah, first pull. Well, it fired once. Okay, that's a good sign. Need to take it apart and lubricate the little clutch, little sprag in there. So this thing is actually, there's a little liquid down in there, but this thing is so varnished that I had to use channel locks to get the gas cap off and barely got the mixture screw out. But I'm going to give it a shot anyway before I take the can off. I'm going to make sure I pour half of this out on the driveway here so that everybody can say, how dare you. I can't even move the choke, it's so frozen. Okay, I'm gonna put my use my hand as a choke, try and prime it. Let's see. All right, well that was a bit easier. Yeah, we have chunks, but the bottom doesn't seem dirty. I think you can pull this out of here. Isn't this fun? That should work. Yeah, this thing is plugged. This pickup is plugged. Can't figure out how to get it off though. Okay, I guess this is press fit. I got it out. Now just to clean it out. Okay, this thing does have a check valve in it. I got it cleaned out and freed up. I can blow through it now. I had to loosen this up because this bar fell off, and I understand why he didn't change it back, because that bolt there is really tough to get to. So this thing should be a go. El Toxico, take 2. Probably have a fire extinguisher out here that would probably be semi-intelligent. In fact, I do have one. One half, one half. Let's do a little bit here. This should just start up and run pretty much. Maybe I should hook the throttle cable back up. Needs a new blade.
Press 9 now to speak to our qualification department and complete the enrollment process. Press 9 now.
Hello, how are you doing today?
És kb. Feladásba?
Sorry?
Kers feladásba fel.
हाँ?
Kers
क्या
fel...
बोल रहा है कुत्ती के बच्चे?
Snarser life of blackish asher.
शाकला को बोलो शकल
Nash panasba.
नाचा बगरा मचोला अल्लाह चौका मचा तेरी माँ का छोटा
Near for Blake Bishma, surfler sure night, sure larboger.
तेरी पति विचलन मारा पैन लड़या
No, sci fi negi nerds bash babalation.